Hey guys, my name's Sofia and welcome to my channel. I've been so busy lately and it really made me think, what's important in life and what's not. And I thought it would be a really good idea to make a video on it about the things that I think, at least, aren't really important to worry about in your life, because life is so short and time is going so fast lately, it's crazy. So I thought this video was very relevant and it would help a lot of people, hopefully. I wrote a list of the things that I thought were most important from what I've learned along my journey so far, and I'm going to share them with you. The first thing is gossiping. As you may or may not know, I've lived in both Australia and Denmark for a long period of time, so I can tell you one thing, at least from these two countries, that gossiping is a thing everywhere. Everyone does it, especially in the young teenage years. I experienced it at my school. Everyone worries so much about other people, and it's so interesting to talk about other people and what they're doing wrong, what they did and why, and blah blah blah. But I personally, I just noticed also the other day, I'm 18 years old, so I'm hanging out with 18 to 20 something years old, and I was at a party the other day and it was all girls, and I didn't know the person they were talking about because they're finished school and I'm not. But they were talking about this girl, and I was just thinking it just disgusted me. It was so disturbing to listen to the way how a whole group of girls could just sit and talk so horribly about one girl, and it was just over the smallest things, and obviously no hate to anyone, but it made me realize how disgusting gossiping is and how stupid it is. That's definitely a really important thing out of all these tips is don't waste your time gossiping. For starters, the things that we gossiped about, when we were 13 years old, I can't even remember. They're so irrelevant and they only cause problems because then that person finds out what they said, and it's just so hurtful and mean. And I just think if I had to regret something in my life, it would be talking about other people. Obviously it's a phase people go through, and some people really haven't dropped the phase. And I understand it's quite natural to, talk about what's happening in life and stuff, but just to continuously put down one person for a long time over small things and judging in that way, I just think it's so disturbing. And I would really recommend just to stay away from people that are gossiping and getting into that kind of stuff about talking badly about other people. Just stay away from it. It's so bad for your energy and vibes and stuff like that, and you just feel so much better if you just don't worry so much about what other people are doing and worrying about yourself. Another thing is treat people the way you want to be treated. I can't stress that enough. Number 2 is caring about what other people think, because everyone is going to judge and gossip. No matter how many times people say it, it's just something that's around and it won't go away. But do not care what other people think. That is a huge lesson, and it is so important. There's no point worrying about what anyone else thinks about you. As long as you know you and you love you, just do what you want. Be yourself. There's no reason to put energy and time into caring what other people think. They're not you, they don't know your life, they don't know your situation. I could talk about this forever, just don't care about what other people think, because it will stop you in so many ways in your life, and it's just so irrelevant what one person thinks of you. Another thing that comes under this for tip number 3 is don't worry about what other people are doing. Everyone is doing the same thing, and that is, living life and creating their own path and following it. So don't worry about what other people are doing, because everyone's just as confused as you are. Some people might be, what you would call ahead or behind or something like that. But just focus on yourself, because it doesn't matter where another person is. And I have an example about this, and that is, I was in year 10 in Australia, and all my friends were about to go on to year 11, and then I suddenly moved to Denmark, so I never got to finish year 10 actually. And then I can remember in the start, it really got to me that all my friends were just finishing school, and I was just behind because suddenly I was in another country and I had to start again a year or 2 behind because I didn't know the language. So I just felt my life stopped and I was behind, and everything just sucked suddenly. But now I've learnt that you know, there's like, you can't compare it like that. Everyone's going to be at a different stage at you, even if you finish school at the same time. You know, some people are working now, some people are at uni, some people are traveling. Like, life is just so crazy, especially after school. Like, nothing's the same, and you just shouldn't worry about what other people are doing. Like to this day, I don't care that I'm like the only one out of my friendship group in Australia, pretty much, that's still in school. Like, it's just all part of the journey. I have learnt so much from just moving here and going to a different school. So definitely don't worry about what other people are doing, and just focus completely on your journey and your path. You'll learn so much, and you'll be so distracted and obsessed with your life kind of that, you know, it won't matter where anyone else is. Tip number 4 is something I've struggled a lot with in the past and no longer do, and that is making mistakes. A lot of people, like, I hear it all the time. Like, I get messages about it on Tumblr, stuff like that, and it's about, yeah, like, if people make mistakes, then they feel like they're not worth it, or they're not good enough, or stuff like that. And like, I've never been the kind of person that's just, you know, accomplish something straight away, or like always passing something and never have failed. Like, seriously, I failed so much in my, I failed tests, you know, I've made mistakes with things I've said to people or done, or life decisions and stuff like that. And I can tell you now, making mistakes it's only a good thing, like, if you choose to see it like that, because you learn from your mistakes and then you don't do them again, and like, all those imperfections help you become better as a person in general. And I, to this day, like, don't mind if I've ever failed something. Like, it's okay to fail. Like, it's not a bad thing. Everyone fails at something, and if you don't, like, congratulations to you. But yeah, I just want to like point out that making mistakes is okay. Another thing I hear a lot, and something I also have done a lot in the past, is worrying, especially worrying about things you can't control. Just like worrying about what can go wrong and letting those worries stop you from doing what it is you want to do. Just focus on like the good things that can happen, like what is the best that can happen and what will happen when I do this and stuff like that. Like, don't overthink your decisions too much. Like, obviously it depends on what it is, but yeah, just don't let worries like stop you. If you have like a feeling like, you know, you're supposed to do this or it will be good, like, just let the positives override the negatives. The next thing life is too short for is letting the things you can't control like get you down and sad. It's such a waste of time because you can't control it. So you really just need to be like, okay, I'm in this situation, I can't change it. What can I do from here to make it better? Like, you really just need to focus on the positive and how you can make this crappy situation good again, because you cannot change what has happened. Being perfect. I know all of these tips come under each other in one way or another, but another big thing I see a lot is people worrying at the fact that they're not perfect. Like, you see all these expectations all over the place, especially on social media, on how you should be, and everything looks perfect around you and stuff, but you really just need to like think life is a journey and you're getting better one day at a time to what you want to call perfection. Like, personally, I think everyone is perfect in their own way. I know it sounds cliche, but I personally think it's true. Like, the beauty of the uniqueness of every person, it's like, it's so interesting and inspiring to me, and I just think you just need to see that you are perfect as you are, and the more you accept that and acknowledge that, and then, you know, work your way to getting better and better all the time, that is perfection to me. Like, you can't get more perfect than wanting to be better and trying and, you know, doing your best in life. Like, that is perfect to me. So this is a huge one for me, and that is not doing what it is you want to do. You can ask anyone, especially people who are older than you. They will tell you the way to live life, the right way to be, you know, the right things to do, what not to do. But honestly, like, this topic, I could talk about it for a long time. Just do what you want. Really, it doesn't matter what anyone says. Family member, friends, random people, like, just do what you want. If you spend your life listening to other people, with them telling you how to live life and what to do, and if you don't do this, then you're not living life right, then honestly, you'll be so unhappy and so mentally drained, because, you know, you're trying to live a life under someone else's rules. So just listen to yourself. Like, what is it you want to do? Like, don't do things that you don't want to do to make other people happy, because aren't you trying to make yourself happy here? You'll more likely make other people happy if you're happy yourself. So if your family members are saying like, you should do this as your education, and then you do it, you'll most likely be very unhappy. And if your family loves you, wouldn't they rather see you happy than not happy? So if you just do what you want, and by doing the things you want, you'll do it better than the things that you don't want to do. So, and then they'll see you happy when you're doing what you want and loving every minute of it. Of course they're going to be happy over that. And if they're not, they honestly shouldn't be in your life. The next thing life is too short to worry about is comparing yourself to others. And this is a big thing because it happens a lot, especially with young teenage girls. They compare themselves to what they see on social media, especially like Instagram, for example. Everything is picture perfect. And I think we all know by now, it's not the reality. It's like the perfect part of whatever it is they're doing, you know? You really need to see that just because it looks perfect on Instagram doesn't mean their life is perfect. And I can't stress this enough, because I remember when I was like 13 years old, I would look at photos and be like, wow, like her life is perfect all the time. Like there's nothing like wrong ever. How is this possible? And it really makes you sad when you compare yourself to other people, because you think like, why can't I be like that? What's wrong with my life? Like, wow, my life sucks and stuff like that. And you need to get past that, because yeah, it's not the reality. And that's also why I took a bit of a break from Instagram at one point, because I kind of thought like, I don't need to see what other people are doing. As much as I enjoy like getting inspiration from the photos and stuff, that's also why I have Instagram again, because I love getting inspired by as much as possible. But I'm glad I took that time away from Instagram to realize it's not important what other people are doing. Like, it's just important what I'm doing. I just need to focus on me. That's not to mean like anything in a self-centered way or anything. It's more that I didn't want to compare myself to what others were doing, because that doesn't define me. That doesn't make my life any worse or anything like that. So I'm so glad I took a break from it, and now I have it again to get inspired and also to help promote my YouTube channel and stuff like that. Life is too short to not make the most out of life. Like, you need to be pursuing your dreams and trying your best at all times, because if you're not, you're really wasting time. And since moving to another country, I've really learnt how important quality time with people is, and doing things and making the most of every moment, because you have no idea when you could lose it. Another thing is not speaking up. And this is also a big one, because your opinion, your feelings, your thoughts are important and they do matter. And just letting other people defeat you without saying what you want, or just not sticking up for what you believe in, is really like damaging on yourself. Like, you have a right to say what you want, and you need to like use that to your ability. Like, don't let other people knock you down because you're too afraid to speak up and say what you want. Like, don't just agree with things you don't agree with just to follow the crowd and fit in and stuff like that. Like, I recommend like speaking up. It will like really make you a more confident person, and you'll be more sure in yourself, and it's just in general an important thing. Not facing your fears. This is also a really important one, I think, because fears, like facing your fears, and allows you to grow and become a better person. And once again, I'm like repeating myself a lot in this video. From moving to another country, I was like forced into fears. Like, honestly, I had never taken a bus pretty much before I came to Denmark. I had to speak to people, like at least try to speak to people in another language. Like, I was constantly trying new things, like, you know, like in a way forced. Like, I had no choice. Like, I was here, I had to do something, you know, and I was just constantly pushed out of my boundaries, like all the time. Like, I couldn't go anywhere without being pushed out of my boundaries, and it's made me grow so much. I'm like not afraid to say what I want or say things to anyone. Like, I'm just giving it a go, and I've really faced my fears. Like, I didn't know I had those fears of like being afraid to go ask someone a question, like a teacher or someone at a shop or something. But then I realized in another language, it is a fear because, or for me, because, you know, they don't understand that you don't understand them and stuff like that. Like, you know, you just like jump into someone's space and like attempt another language and then they need to try and understand it. Like, yeah, I was just pushed in my boundaries all the time, and it made me learn like so clearly, like facing your fears is a good thing. It really gets you out there and you feel so much better after for the most of it. Like you think, wow, like that wasn't as hard as I thought. Like, wow, I can do this. And it just helps you believe in yourself and all that kind of stuff. Next one also comes under self-love, and that is not feeling like you deserve something. Like that's really like hurtful on yourself if you say to yourself that you don't deserve the best, or you don't deserve to be with this person because you're not good enough and stuff. You need to get that out of your mind, because of course you deserve the world. You deserve the very best. As long as you're trying the best and you know you're a good person, then of course you deserve the best. And that's what you need to strive for. Like, don't take something below like what you deserve. Like, always want and try for the best, because that is what everyone deserves. Not loving yourself. And let me tell you, life is too short for that. Loving yourself is the key to happiness. It's the key to, you know, accomplishing anything in life. Like, you need to love yourself. And it's so important. It's the most important out of all of these little things I'm telling you. I can't stress enough how important loving yourself is. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And that is something I've really learned, especially recently, from watching other people I know who don't really love themselves. And it just showed me, like, it's so true. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And you can't give it your best in anything. So learning to love yourself is so important. I know for some it's easier said than done. You just need to control your thoughts and only allow positive ones to come in and out. Don't put yourself down or say anything negative about yourself. Like, been there, done that, wasted time, trust me. Just be positive. If you knew how important your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought again. Because negative thoughts like rule your life. It overtakes you. Like, if you say something negative to yourself, it becomes you. It becomes the truth. So of course you need to say good things and mean it. Like, just saying it doesn't do very much, but saying it and meaning it does a lot. Not working on your dreams, and that is something life is too short for. You need to follow your dreams, follow your heart and your mind, and doing what you want, as I said before, to get to your dreams. It will make you a happier person. And honestly, if you feel in your heart like, this is what I want, this is what I love, you need to do it, because that is your path at that point in life, at least. So follow your dreams and don't let anyone else tell you you can't accomplish your dreams and you can't get there, because if there's a will, there's a way. Regretting stuff. I ask people a lot, like, do you have any regrets? So just out of curiosity, if I'm having like a deep and meaningful conversation with someone on a car drive or something, and most of the time people have regrets, and it makes me really like frustrated, because like then I say to them like, but why? You can't change it. And obviously I understand why people have regrets. Like, they've made mistakes, and some mistakes are bigger than others, and those mistakes could have like changed something if you didn't do that thing or did do that thing. But again, like, there are things you can't control. What is done, and you just need to learn from that mistake or regret. Like, because there's no other way to get by that. And if you let, you know, little regrets and problems like stay with you, you can never properly move on and be better and, you know, get past that. Like, you don't want to stay in the past and have regrets. That's such a disgusting feeling, I can imagine. Like, just to regret something. Like, life is way too short. You just need to move on and do better next time. This one's a little emotional, and life is too short to not tell people you love them, especially those you love and care about. Like, again, since moving to Denmark about 2 years ago, actually almost 3 now, anyways, whoa, time flies. I've learned how important it is to tell those you care about, like, how you feel, because I remember, like, I have the world's sweetest family, like both in Australia and Denmark, but for example, my grandparents in Australia, they're the most loving people on this planet Earth. They are so nice and they mean the absolute world to me. And I know I've always been grateful for them. I've always spoken the best I could to everyone, also when I was in Australia, but they all were always open to see us, and I was so caught up with my friends and my life when I was in Australia, which is totally fine and normal, but I forgot like how important they were to me. Like, I didn't use it enough. I didn't see them as much as I should have, and obviously I don't regret it, but it's definitely something I would change in the future. Like, these days, I tell people how I feel all the time and straight away. And I speak to my grandparents all the time and I tell them every email or Skype call how much I love them and stuff. But it taught me that, like, you never know when you can lose someone or something like that. So you need to express those feelings, like, whenever you want, like, as soon as you can. Because, like I said, you never know. And also, not long ago, there was that huge killing in Orlando at that gay club. And that actually broke my heart, because then I thought, imagine if one of those guys or girls went to that club and were in an argument with their parents before that, or they were in a bad situation right before that time, and then their family members or friends would never get a moment again to say sorry or fix that problem. So, like, another tip is, like, don't ever go to sleep or leave somewhere unhappy or in a problem. Like, always solve it, or at least try to solve it, because you never know what can happen. And that would be the worst feeling ever, to know that, you don't get another chance to see them or speak to them again. So, like, never take for granted a moment not saying how you feel. This thing comes under social media, and that is not allowing a number to define you. A lot of people get caught up in likes. Like, most people, it's kind of a natural thing these days to define yourself by how many likes you have, or followers, or subscribers, or whatever it may be. But you need to remember, it's just a number. It really doesn't mean that much. But never let it be your happiness. Like, don't ever worry, like, if I don't have this many followers, I can't be happy. Like, don't let that even become a part of your happiness. That's just like a bonus excitement, if you will. And the very last thing is, don't let the bad come over the good. Obviously, in certain situations, there are more negatives than the positives, and that's normal and that's okay, and you can't change that. However, you can change what you focus on. And in most situations, if not all, you should always focus on the good and not the bad. Like, don't let all the problems take away any sort of positive, whether it was a learning lesson or something like that. Like, always just focus on the good and work your way from there, because if you focus on the bad, the process will be so much harder and longer and tiring to get rid of. And you want to live in the present moment, you want to get away from problems and bad things, so the best way to do that is to focus on the good side of it and work your way from there. So that was my 20 things life is too short to worry about. I hope you learned a thing or two, or got reminded of something that I have mentioned that you knew in the back of your head, and I hope it was interesting. I'm sure this video is quite long now, but I thought it's all really important. Like, I've realized recently how much time is just flying by, and how important it is to notice what to focus on and what not to focus on. I would just like to finish this video by saying I have recently created a Twitter and an Instagram account. I'll leave all my social media links down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you're new, and like this video if you enjoyed it. Also, feel free to leave any comments or questions down below. I reply to them all. It can be video suggestions or what you thought about this video, things like that. Anything is welcome. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a few days. Bye!